To protect your mental health, to save your sanity, you need to lower your expectations. So when it comes to balancing business and babies, this is advice I wish I had 4 years ago before I had my first baby and I transitioned from being an entrepreneur to a mompreneur. And this is the advice I wish I had then. And that advice is this: to protect your mental health, to save your sanity, you need to lower your expectations. And that's just to say, demand less of yourself. Don't put so much on your plate like you're that 20-something single lady able to work and party at the same time. That's not you anymore. This is a new chapter in your life. So as a new mom, embrace it like a newbie. And no one tells you this because we're all just figuring it out. We don't know what we're getting into when we have kids. Every kid is different. Every mom is different. Every household is different. So learn your unique scenario and become an expert in being the best you can be in that situation. Because here's what we know to be 100% true 100% of the time. Your most important role, your most important priority is mother. And for that reason, most likely, parenting tugs at your attention 24/7. As it should. Whether your head's in books, podcasts, or lost in thought about how to be the best parent in this situation, or what do I do here, or oh my gosh, this is happening, and how am I going to get through this? What does this situation call for from me right now? Right? Being present with those things. Whatever all that is, it takes a lot of time. If it's getting your baby to latch or your toddler to poop on the potty, like that is something that you are learning about. And that, in addition to being an entrepreneur, learning about all the things you're learning there and applying and implementing the things you're learning there, it's going to be a lot. It takes a lot of brain power. And to have those parts of yourself functioning at the same time, you got to be patient with yourself and with the situation. So this has everything to do with your workflow. In order to set appropriate expectations for this season of life you're in right now, ask yourself, what's my childcare situation like? Am I all day home by myself today, all week, every day? Can I get support? So 2, what's your support system look like? Who can help you? And are you comfortable asking for help? And is that something you need to tackle? Asking for help, even if it's just an hour here and there to just completely shut off the parenting role, because kids are safe and you can focus on something else. Can you get a friend, a neighbor, a mother-in-law to help you where you don't have help, so that you can get some time to yourself? And how much time do you have free in a day? And then what's most important to get done in that day? So for you, your kids, your clients, what do you need to accomplish to keep moving forward? And so here's what will help. So observe yourself over the next 3 days. What's your typical capacity, your bandwidth? What's typical for this age of your kids, where you might be pulled into all sorts of directions with unexpected surprises? And what are you busying yourself doing, right? The little things, the cooking, the cleaning, the tidying. What are you busying yourself doing? Observe yourself doing those things and just kind of clock it. You can mentally note it or write it down, which I suggest get it out of your head. There's already a lot of stuff going on in there. Get it out of your head and onto paper, and just start to look at, okay, well, every 15 minutes I kind of do something like this. Every hour I'm taking Jackson to try to go potty. Between meal times and snack times and independent play, just note it, right? Observe it. Because this is going to give you an idea on which to evaluate what can you get done in a work day. And then notice, what's a typical turnaround time for publishing a blog post for you these days? What's typical of filming a YouTube video? What's typical of publishing a reel on Instagram, TikTok? What is typical for, if you're producing content, getting that stuff out into the world, spreading your message? What does that turnaround look like? Okay. So then you kind of have your free time. You're kind of assessing where the little pockets in your day are for you to slot in some of this workload and start to tick away at it getting done. I mean, even filming this YouTube video right here, I had to get over myself and stop with all the angles and the perfectionist, positioning of the camera and just get it done. Because I don't have the luxury of time and maybe all the equipment that some YouTubers have. I don't have all of the team that could, style me and put me in the right light and edit my videos. So everything's super simple for me. It's super streamlined. I get in front of the camera, I film, shoot, edit, post. I mean, and so I know what a typical turnaround of that looks like, depending on the length of the video. And so I know, okay, well, if I have that much to do with filming content for YouTube, then I know I need to allot this much time in my day. And so I might need to get help from 3 to 4 because normally Johnny's in a nap, so I can get that time. Whatever. You kind of start to look at, okay, what are the time blocks in my day where I can actually get some solid work done, deep focus. And if we don't lower our expectations, they will get piled on to us so high that the unpredictability of our toddlers, our littles running around the house, needing us at any given moment will throw a wrench into your plans. So much so that, you'll grow resentful or you won't enjoy the process, the juggling, the imbalance of it will start to feel like a heavy load, a heavy burden, and it won't be fun. And that is burnout, my friends. And burnout is mental. Unless you take time to evaluate your new role and the expectations you have therein as a human, a mother, a wife, a friend, a daughter, right? Because all that time ticks away from that too. Then you will really kind of stand to feel miserable because you didn't give yourself the chance to separate from who you were before kids and who you are now after kids. I know I was miserable. I would just find myself waking up in the morning. I couldn't even lift my head off the pillow. Yes, I was struggling with postpartum depression after my second son, but even identity crisis because I hadn't reconciled the difference in who I was and who I was able to show up as, who I was seeing in the mirror. Like I wasn't keeping up. I wasn't able to do it all or do it well. And I had still high expectations of myself. And so through all the struggle, which I talk about in a different video, I'll link above, I found my way through that. And this is the advice I wish I had then. And I like what YouTuber Caitlin James said in one of her videos about when you don't adjust your expectations, your kids are getting a stressed out business owner and your business is getting a stressed out mom. And it's so true. And we're split in 2, 3, 4 different directions because we haven't sat down to manage our expectations. So let's do that together. When it comes to expectations, you have to look at 3 areas. So for yourself, for your clients, and for your partner, right? So you got to look at this 360 view of your life and who's kind of relying on you and how are you showing up for them. For yourself, you might only have an hour free all day to do much of anything while the baby is napping or while your partner watches the kids. And so you'll need space, that time for yourself, that time to work, that time to get into deep thought about what you're working on, what you're writing. If you're creating content, right? It's the blog post, it's the captioning, it's the scripting, it's the workshops you're putting on. It's all those things, right, that you're producing. You're the brain power behind it, the thought, the developer, and the talent. And then in the end, maybe you're the editor, right? And the publisher, the manager. So if you're doing all that yourself, because maybe you haven't slotted in team members yet, or they take some of it off, but for the most part, this is your content, your baby, and you're kind of in the zone of that. For me, that's where I am with YouTube right now because it's a new venture for me. My YouTube journey feels very new because everything has just been like reposted before to YouTube. But I'm intentionally creating YouTube content now. I feel like, okay, no, I've got to get a handle on this first before I hand it out to people. And so that's where I'm at. in every phase of our entrepreneurship journey, our motherhood journey, things are going to change and be demanded of us in different ways. And so we've got to adjust and we've got to rest. That's a big one. We have to carve out time to just rest, especially with littles, because the demand on our brain power that really doesn't ever stop is so intense. And so if you also have a business where it's thought heavy and it's intense in as far as like what you do and say and how you coach, if you're a coach, all of that takes intentional effort and brain power and time if you want to do it well, right? And so all of that needs the counter activity of rest. Notice the wavelength that has to happen, the shift in thinking that has to happen so that rest is now appropriate as part of your expectations on yourself. To be a present parent, you have to have time away from parenting. That is what I've learned firsthand. And so here again, you want to observe yourself over the next 3 days, right? What's your mood? What's your energy level like? What do you wake up feeling inspired to do? What do you go to sleep at night feeling like a ton of bricks? Are you just peaceful, like falling like a feather onto your pillow? I mean, what is it like, right? And so all of that's going to factor into, okay, this is my new normal. And so how can I serve myself and give to myself so that I'm not feeling like I'm doing all this alone. I'm not resentful. I'm not regretful. I'm not wasting time, or feeling like I'm wasting time. Okay, next set of expectations is for your clients. So be honest with your clients about what you can and can't do. Hey, I'm a new mom. I'm adjusting my availability accordingly. For me, the first thing I did when I became a mom was pivot my one-to-one coaching to group coaching programs. Because I knew I didn't want to be available so much throughout the day, these chunks of times for just one person. I had to kind of merge my effort and my energy into like serving more than one person at a time. So you're going to start to see like, what can you do for your clients? What changes can you make that still make them whole in your programs, and in your offerings and things like that, and getting access to you. And then also what makes you whole. What makes you feel whole and complete and accomplished and fulfilled in what you're offering. So as the littles are little, you might notice that maybe your coaching slots go from an hour to 30 minutes. Or maybe you can only do one Zoom call a month for Q&A. If you're a freelancer, maybe you offer your deliverables instead of 2 weeks, it's a 4-week turnaround. So you're adding a little bit of a buffer time. And we always want to under promise, over deliver. And so we're not shooting for the moon here. We're just trying to wow them in the time that we have. Our clients, we still want them to be happy and happy customers. How can we do that in the time that we have? So all of these little adjustments, obviously it's dependent on you and what your lifestyle is like, what your business goals are, and what your capacity is. And then for your partner, right? So your home life, your relationship, your marriage, your significant other, this person is also relying on you and also learning to be a parent in this household as well, right? So while you're learning you, they're learning you in this new role. And while you're learning them in this new role, they're learning themselves in this new role as parent, right? You're co-parenting. This is new. You guys are rookies. So treat it that way and over communicate when it comes to, hey, this is what I need. I'm not going to tidy like I used to. My declutterist brain is not going to function like it used to when I would just have everything pristine and neatly in place. No, now if there's a crayon on the ground, I probably will leave it. I just cringe at the thought. But honestly, my back is better if I don't pick every crayon up off the ground. My day goes better because I'm not just filling my time with tidying up and cleaning up all the time. And if anything, I start to lean on my husband a little bit more and I ask him to pick up the crayon. If he's got extra time, then he can do it. And he's happy to do it. He doesn't mind doing those things. And so if I know that, then I can lean on that. I can pull from that resource that I have in him as my partner, as my co-parent, and lean on him in the ways that he is willing to be leaned on. We have to start to manage our expectations for each other, and that might be a daily thing that we're changing. Unfortunately, it might look different on a week by week basis as we observe and notice gaps for improvement, and we express them to our partner and we say, hey, I feel like this might work a little bit differently. Can we try this week doing it this way? And then on Sunday, debrief. Hey, what did you think? How did that go? Okay, this week maybe we adjusted here. And so again, over communicate. If you're not going to do his laundry anymore, let him know. But in order to communicate, you have to get it clear in your own head first, right? These new adjusted expectations. And hopefully they're spacious expectations, giving people a lot of room to figure out the new way of life. As you find your groove as a new mompreneur, maybe this new way of life is all just temporary, right? As you sort it all out and you put the pieces in place where they fit best. And all of this matters because we're balancing two very important things, babies and business. And I mean, our lives, right? Our home life. Are seeking our own purpose, our fulfillment in life, our enjoyment, operating in our passions, all of that is so important. That's why I love having a business, is because I get to operate in all of in the different facets of who I am, my strengths, and I get to do work I love. And so that is so important to me to continue to do as I am a mother. But without calibrating and reevaluating and assessing and re-examining, we're just winging it. So no more winging it, okay? Let's get intentional with our time. I've got a free training in the description below that will give you more tools on how to create this intentional workflow as a new entrepreneur mom. So, and I also share a little bit about my pivot, the pivots I made in my business that I was kind of referring to here, that lightened my load a lot and gave me my sanity back and got me out of that identity crisis. I share a lot of what I learned and how you can also apply those tools and those lessons to save yourself the many miserable mornings that I had. And so I want you to stay encouraged, entrepreneur mom. I really do. You got this. You can do this. Please like and subscribe on this video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.